Ladies, I was waiting for everybody to give it together and say hello. Hello, ladies.
Hello, Carlotta.
I love you, ladies. You guys rock.
Hey, we love you ladies too. You're the best.
Oh, okay, you too, you too.
And gentlemen, and gentlemen. You should leave and gentlemen.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to greet the ladies first. You rock, ladies. Okay, now that I'm done with the ladies, hello, everybody. You guys are the best. I've seen your messages on Facebook. You guys are great. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Young Group. Here we are. This is our 10th class together, and it's gonna be a very special one. Before we begin, I believe the men's 10 has prepared a little something to help us to prepare for tonight's session. So if you guys have something like what you guys did last time, let's hear it. We really enjoyed it last time. We want more of it. Did you guys get a chance to prepare something for us? I see silence.
Yes, we did.
Okay, go ahead.
First, we have a reading with followed with the question Johnny will present to us, I believe. And the reading is, it turns out that if one has love of friends, the rule in love is that you want to see the friend's merits and not their faults. Hence, if one sees some fault in one's friend, it is not a sign that his friend is at fault, but that the seer is at fault, meaning that because his love of friends is flawed, he sees faults in his friend. Therefore, now he should not see to his friend's correction. Rather, he himself needs correction. It follows from all the above that he should not care for the correction of his friend's faults, which he sees in his friend, but he himself needs to correct the flaw he has created in the love of friends. And when he corrects himself, he will see only his friend's merits and not his faults.
Hi everyone, the workshop question is in the chat box.
Okay, so let's go into breakouts real quick and do a little preparation workshop for this lesson. I'll read the question. The question: why is it that when I see the fault in a friend, it is the correction that I myself am required to undergo? Once again, why is it that when I see the fault in a friend, it is the correction that I am myself required to undergo? Okay, the breakouts are ready. Alex, please, let's take it away.
These and all the struggles that we experience outside of us is actually inside of us. And it's the best way to start changing the habitual structure that we are, and to try and then habitualize everything that we see outside of ourselves that frustrates, irritates, or angers or anything of us is the correction we undergo. And once we can correct that correction, it's one of the biggest developments that we can achieve in this kind of structure. Okay.
Like Danny, once I can put this above reason and just quit trying to rationalize it, I can understand that I know it to be true, and therefore now this flaw I see in this friend becomes this great tool to point to exactly what is going on inside my heart. And it tells me it's me, and if I can just use that until that person looks beautiful in my eyes, I will know the correction is actually taking place above reason, where I can't see it happening. Time.
Yeah, this is also an important part where we can start to also benefit and receive from the friends. If we're not able to, if we see all the faults in them, we're not able to elevate them. So once we are able to do this, now we're able to receive.
James?
The evil inclination is inside of us, and when we see it out on the outside of us, it's just another part of ourselves that comes out. And when we correct ourselves, we correct others.
Leonardo?
Okay, I think the way we perceive the world, the friends, the humanity, the nature, is only a reflection of our interior. It's like a mirror. What I see outside me is a mirror of what have inside. And I find some lack in my friend. It's because the lack is in me, and I need to try to change my lack, not to try to change the lack of the friend, because the lack is inside of me. It's only the reflection. Only what I see in my friends is what I have inside.
Exactly, Leonardo, and this love of friends that we're coming to, that this way of thinking, going above reason at times, and at best times within reason, between friends, it's only possible when we annul and connect, and that happens only when we see those flaws in ourselves and our love of friends, and we can overcome that and connect.
Louis?
Yeah. Hey guys. So good to be here again. So I think I love what everybody said. I really resonate with what Leonardo said. I think that's so spot on. That when whatever these things that we are perceiving, they're all originally coming. I don't know. That's exactly what Leonardo was saying, but they all are originally like coming from us. Like all of our perceptions, like, oh, this is wrong, or this is right, or whatever. And just it almost shows like the fact that you're even going there to begin with is what is letting you know that this is ego coming into play and not something higher than, so yeah.
Adam, did you want to offer something?
Yeah, we definitely make the correction internally in ourselves, and hopefully that will correct the external appearance of it. But if it doesn't, and it's something that absolutely has to get corrected, then I'm going to actually go and do it with that person. So.
The correction needs to be made. So every time that you see the faults in friends, it should just be a instant sign that we can improve.
Okay. I think it looks like everyone's back. Okay, welcome back. So thank you guys for that amazing preparation. It really started up this entire session and gave it the right aim towards the friends, because it's only through the friends, through that connection, we can reveal anything. So amazing work. Let's get into today's article. Today we have something very special, and I'm pretty sure you've read this article before, but because we've already advanced through a few weeks of the studies, of working in the tens, of all sorts of things through which we develop in this session, in this course, we're going to see it completely differently, really completely differently. And the article that we're going for today, this is the most fundamental article of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Really, this is the article that's really has everything within it. The entire purpose that we're aspiring for, and those most inner delicate discernments that we undergo as we're trying to climb up the ladder towards this goal. And this is the one and only the article of There's None Else Besides Him. So if you guys have the Shamati books, this is the very first article in Shamati. You could take a few seconds and open up the book. And today, why are we going through this article right now, especially considering we've already studied it in the past, right? I'm sure everyone here has taken fundamentals and has at one point or another encountered this article. But this article is not really for beginners. It's not really for those that are in fundamentals. I'll say it like this. It's really for those that are already on the spiritual path, they're already taken upon themselves this, let's say, journey. They're on this journey and they already have some kind of inner discernments to play with. This is when this article really becomes relevant. So we really wanted to revisit this article right now, especially now that we have some kind of experience towards others, towards the workshops, towards connection, and all these different things, because now we've matured. And now we're going to begin to see a completely different article. And specifically for today, we're going to be focusing on the first page or two of There's None Else Besides Him, because that's going to be that's the gist of it that we want to talk about today. This adventure of revealing the Creator, this adventure of finding all these different nuances in the inner work, and how the Creator is sort of playing with us at every moment. So, are you guys ready? Everyone's ready? You guys have the books in front of you, or a link, or something that you can follow along? Or we're not going to go too far. We're probably going to read just a page or two. Okay. So, Shamati 1, there's none else besides Him. It is written, there's none else besides Him. This means that there's no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against Him. And what man sees that there are things in the world that deny the higher household, the reason is that this is His will. And it is deemed a correction, called the left rejects and the right adducts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. This means there are things in the world which, to begin with, aim to divert a person from the right way, and by which he is rejected from sanctity. So, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm opening it right now a little bit more open-ended, not so much even a question. But what did you guys get from these two paragraphs? What did you feel, especially, like I said, especially after having gone through a few weeks of the young group and all these things? Did you feel something different from these very two paragraphs about none else besides Him, that is just a single force governing everything? Let's hear some of your thoughts.
I would like to say something I learned from Leonardo, and it's like this idea that envy is a good thing all of a sudden. This bad rejection that I feel suddenly is the thing I need the most. I think is really an eye-opener.
Okay, more?
I think that without the, the bad situations that we fall into and the diversions, that we would not grow spiritually.
There's something to that. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that today. More?
I think that even if He sends us something good or bad, we have to accept it because that's God's will. And we have to accept it because that's the only way we can know that Creator. And then read the scriptures, try to understand what God is sent, what the Creator, what message He's sending us, instead of complaining. Try to understand God, so like that we'll understand what He's put in our path, because that's His will. It's not us.
Okay, and this is something that most people in life are really undergoing, right? Everyone in life, when they're experiencing, especially hardships, no one really questions the good times. You know, you get a promotion, you win the lottery, you get all sorts of nice things happening in life. You're like, oh, of course, yeah, it's great. And you don't really take into account maybe there's none else besides Him. But especially during the hard times people are experiencing, every person starts questioning, why am I getting this? You know, did I do something? And is this a punishment? Did I get on God's bad side or something of that sort? Everyone, in essence, is asking, about this question, about what is the source of everything that's happening to me? Then what's the difference between how we're undergoing it here in the wisdom of Kabbalah versus how everyone else is really experiencing this thing? because they all seemingly have the same concern, like Carlota, right? Like she just said, I want to understand, what does God want from me? You know, at every moment I can have this type of concern, and a person on the street can have the very same type of attitude as well. What's demanded of me? What's different? This is a question I want to ask you guys right now. Once again, in this open session, what's different between the way we relate to there's none else besides him versus a person on the street? What do you guys think?
We are all looking to bestow, where everybody else in corporeality is always on the give me side.
We have a hunger to know the Creator directly.
I think that we start to see punishment differently. We start to understand that there is no punishment, but there is only a correction. That everything that is sent to us is not to tell us you've been a bad boy or bad girl, but look, this is what you have to overcome and correct. I think that's the main difference between us that are starting to learn and people, other religious people.
Exactly, and exactly, and that's leads us to that he's good that does good, and so instead of saying it's punishment, we see it's all been for our good all along.
Right, and it's the mood that we and how we react and respond to each of these things.
It's a group of Kabbalists. Everyone is willing to let his friend talk first, and then nobody talks. So go ahead. Was it Luis? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, just really quick. I think you asked what is one way that we see this versus somebody that we just find on the street, and I think such a big difference is us and people have everyone's pretty much been touching on this, is that when something happens in life that we don't really like, that doesn't fit our ego or whatever, we don't say, oh well, God's punishing us because God clearly is showing that he doesn't love us because this bad thing just happened. But we know that it's not that, and it's not so much about what can I gain from this, but how do we grow from this, that sort of thing.
And they think that the Creator is the one that's supposed to change. They don't realize that they're the ones that need to change their perception. It's he has a problem, and he should accept them like they are.
It was soothing as the week went on, as we had these moments. We prayed for one another, and we all responded. Things seemed to have changed. Light came back into our lives.
Very nice. You guys have some really, really advanced discernments. Really, very nice. I will add just a little bit. At least, I'll add just one small discernment to this discussion, that there's none else besides him. A lot of times, to a lot of people, is a very personal thing, right? It's between me and the Creator, me and God. A lot of people can say, person in the street, okay, I have this personal connection with the Creator. But here in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we know that there is really no such thing as this personal connection. There is a connection, but it goes through the 10. It goes through the society, meaning we cannot really disconnect ourselves from the society and still have some kind of connection to the Creator. There's really no such thing. So then what does that mean to all of these different states that we're undergoing? What does that mean? It means that we're not so much as receiving states, individual states, but receiving states specifically through the connection, specifically to help our connection. Meaning we're in a certain connection in the 10, and whatever is received is not received by an individual. It's sent to the whole 10. But on the receiving end could be an individual. But what we need to do is reformat that and start seeing that it wasn't just what that individual received, but it was what the 10 received. This is why we have these laws of connection, the laws of Arvut, to feel that the friends troubles are all of our troubles. And if something's happening with a friend, if he's in a certain state, if he's drilling a hole in the boat, we're all feeling that. And this is a completely different relation to there's no one else besides him. When we begin to feel that it's not addressing us individually, but it's addressing us as a 10. And we begin to feel the need to respond as a 10. Okay? Just wanted to throw that in there. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But one more question to you guys. We just read in here that there's a state called the left rejects and the right abducts, meaning that which the left rejects is considered correction. This means that there are things in the world which, to begin with, aim to divert a person from the right way, and by which he's rejected from sanctity. All right, by which he's rejected from sanctity. So what is the need for this type of system in which we're constantly sent rejections? What is the logic behind it? That we're here, we're aspiring for spirituality, and all of a sudden we're sent a rejection. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't it be that we're here, we're aspiring for spirituality, and it's the opposite? There should be no rejections. We're, on the Creator's good side. He should be just pulling us forward on this beautiful path, and that's it. What is the logic behind these constant rejections that a person receives on the spiritual path? And let's do this in the breakouts, okay? Let's talk about this in the breakout session. We'll give about 5-6 minutes, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, it's actually a great question because it actually formats the hard drive that we all carry around with us, and it gives us the feeling of distance and closeness. And as we progress, we keep feeling the distance of the Creator and the group within us, and then we also occasionally feel the distance that that we go through. So we go through these discernments, these up and downs. It gives us quite a clear indication of the Creator and the structure that we are involved in this physical beastly body.
Thinking that somehow to see you as great.
If there were no rejections along this path, then we'd be doing it to satisfy our ego.
Yeah, it would all be egoistic. And it reminds me of the old thing about all those people that go to church just to be nice when truly inside they don't feel anything for anyone else. And they're just doing it for some future reward or fear of some future retribution. That's kind of the pushing from the left and makes a lot of people think that egotistically.
Leonardo?
Yes, I think it's also because we came to this world to work, to grow internally, to be each step closer to God. And the only way to grow and to preserve and to climb this ladder is by this kind of reactions, but by this kind of how I say, by this kind, I don't know if pain or I don't know if it's difficulties, time, etc. And also, if we don't have rejections, we don't be able to disfrutate or to perceive the good things in all their splendor, because we didn't have a base to choose. If all is good, we didn't appreciate this good.
Yeah. Yes, and with all that, it gives us the opportunity to choose this environment and the Creator when we don't feel the good, and that is how we know it's not for our vessels of self-perception, for our vessels of self-love. That so when we feel those rejections and we can choose the environment anyways, then we can move forward and correct.
I think, there we go. I think that these sort of like that which we receive from Allah, the thing that, you know, distracts us, it's there to remind us of, it's there so that we know that we truly have reached a new level once we've overcome that. Once we've, you know, you can't really, if we didn't have to work at it, it wouldn't mean anything. I think somebody has already said this too. It's there's no real true connection with that, because you don't know anything other than. The Creator wants you to know the other than, know it so well that that's what you use to know that that's not where you are anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense, and everything that I heard so far makes wonderful sense. But I think something else happens during that rejection and that adduction, and there's an expansion going on all the time, and that's why we have the back and forth thing, so that the emptiness can get bigger, so that we can receive more light and become a bigger kli for the Creator.
Yeah, you know, the expansion gets greater. The desire grows larger and larger. It's not like it's just, oh, I'm following it for this. Suddenly it's like you had something, you felt you were attaining something, and it was pulled away. And you just want it that much more, and the desire grows that much more.
Yes, it's exactly that level of rejection that once we are, let's say, that we are dropped from sanctity, that we begin to actually find our strength and our development within the work. So, you know, this is a certain guiding point that gives us where are we with, you know, the studies, the development, the learning, the ascension. We can consider that the rejection is a descent in order for us to see where we are on the path.
Okay. So we see that there's a lot of benefits to these rejections. It's a question to think about. Can we go through the spiritual path without receiving such rejections? Right, we're not going to answer it right now, but you could think about it. Is it possible for us to advance spiritually without receiving these feelings of rejections? Is such a thing possible? Is it possible for us to, how can I put it? Is it possible for us to advance from our nature, from the goal and the path of creation? Is such a thing possible? Think about it. I'm not going to answer this one right now. But let's see what Baal Salam continues and says. He writes, the benefit from the rejections is that through them, a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him. Once again, a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him. And this is something really interesting, because a lot of times we think, we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah and we think, we need to be these superheroes. We need to be these great men and women that have these strong spiritual powers to overcome. You know, we receive a rejection and we just like overcome it, and we're so strong and we're so great. We deserve a pat on the back for being these amazing superheroes. But in essence, he's telling us it's almost the complete opposite, right? The benefit from these rejections is that through them a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him. Meaning, not so much that I myself, with my own strength, need to overcome. Which is, yes, we do this as well. But the ultimate benefit is that we're able to have a request, have a certain desire, to have a prayer for the Creator's help. So what does that mean? That means not only that we don't need to be superheroes in the path, it's even better that we're not superheroes, that even from just a little feeling of weakness, of rejection, that even from that we would already start experiencing some kind of need for help. It's very interesting that it's built in such a different way than we're used to. We're used to being strong people, intelligent. The more intelligent you are, the better. The stronger you are, the better. And here we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, and it's like everything is backwards. The weaker I am, the more I have placed to ask for help, the more that I'm actually could be advancing, rather than using my own strength, which is 100% egoistic. If I have the strength of the Creator from the friends, if I'm able to tap into that strength, it's a completely different story. So also something to think about. By the way, do you guys have any questions about what we just covered so far?
Yes, I have a question. So you're saying, let me understand this. You're saying like that rejection that we have is all as one and all as one? Is that what is referring to?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. Can you repeat what you said?
Okay. You're saying that the rejection that we have is that all in the group and all as one and one as all? Is that what it's referring? The rejection, it will be like a correction for all of us as a 10?
Yes, what we receive, once we're in the group, once we have a 10, and within the 10, if we're working on the arvut between us, what does that mean? We're working on the arvut, meaning that we're no longer just these individuals, but we become tied. And when we begin to work on this arvut and to be tied as one, it means that what happens to one happens to everybody. So there is no longer this sort of individual rejection or something that a person is receiving. No. What happens after we're in the 10 and we have some kind of arvut between us, what one receives, everyone receives. So if one is receiving some kind of, say, negative state, however you want to put it, and something unpleasant, something in life, something's happening, whatever it is, something good, something bad, it doesn't matter. But we all feel it because we all, from that point, we all are connected as one. It's like in a body. Can something happen to one part of the body that doesn't really affect the body as a whole? Meaning, if one part of the body is hurting, the body as a whole doesn't feel it. It doesn't feel that pain, or the opposite. If something good is happening to the body as a whole doesn't. To a part of the body as a whole also benefits. So this is what's happening to us now. Once we're in a 10, everything that's happening to any individual is happening to the entire 10. We need to have this type of structure before us. Yeah? So if one of the friends in the 10, yeah, go ahead.
Albert, I don't know why I just noticed that word adducts, and I looked it up and it says it's like the continuing, like forming of a muscle. So what is this muscle that we're trying to form? Is it to build the group?
I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of this translation. The original Hebrew, I believe, is mitkarev, which is just brings closer. So if one part is the left rejects, meaning there is the side that pushes you away, and then there's one part that adducts from the original article in Hebrew. It's from just to bring closer. Okay, so just replace that word adducts with bringing closer. I'm also not a big fan of that word. I think I've never heard of it before before I opened up this article. Let's continue a little bit. So, sorry, can we mute? Missy, please mute in the meantime. Okay. So we'll continue a little bit. The benefit from the rejections is that through them a person receives a need and a complete desire for the Creator to help him, since he sees that otherwise he is lost. Not only does he not progress in his work, but he sees that he regresses. That is, he lacks the strength to observe Torah and mitzvot, even in low lishma. That only by genuinely overcoming all the obstacles above reason can he observe the Torah and mitzvot. But he does not always have the strength to overcome above reason. Okay, if we're able to do it, let's say, for a few hours a day, it seems like as we progress on this path, it's as if we're getting weaker. At first it was easy. I could stand on beside him all day long. And now all of a sudden I feel like I can do it less and less. So much so that He continues, he who always feels that the shattered is greater than the whole, meaning there are many more descents than ascents. It's as if you're thrown out of this thought for a few hours, and then maybe for 1 second you're brought back. Then again for a few hours you're thrown out, and then again for 1 second you're brought back to the state. And he does not see an end to these states. So here we're already opening up this thing called descents and ascents. And this is something really unique because it really shapes our attitude towards the path. How do we relate to what is happening to us? Meaning we're undergoing certain states, right? In the wisdom of Kabbalah, we ourselves are the guinea pigs. We are the lab that we're working with. So when we're speaking of ascents and descents, it's we ourselves are feeling those things and calling these things ascents and descents. And the question is, what are these states? What are these states of ascents and descents that the Creator is sending us? He writes here, he feels that the shattered is greater than the whole, meaning there are many more descents than ascents, and he does not see an end to these states. So what are these states of ascents and descents? How can we define them? Let's make this a little bit more open in the general session here with everybody. What do you guys think? How can you define the state of ascent and descent?
To me, a descent is when you're trying to grab onto anything there's nothing there. I mean, you read the books, you listen to the music, you go to the group, and it just feels like there's just nothing to hold on to.
This is a feeling that with more and more light shining on the subject, you see the damage, more extensive, and just how big the problem really becomes. And the harder you work, the more you see that needs to be done. I would define it like that this is the descent, not that you're descending, but that you're seeing the scope of the problem enlarge.
Being overwhelmed a bit is a descent, I think. All the things that come and all those things we have to do that just seem to throw themselves in our way, doctor's appointments, sick, all those things are a descent that I think of when I'm thinking of descents. Next.
I think of a descent as anything that distracts us from the connection. It could be just as simple as not listening to somebody who's speaking. Maybe your mind is wandering. That's a descent. And you need to bring yourself back or ask the Creator to help you bring yourself back.
I think is when you feel that you are away from the Creator. When you feel that you are very away from the Creator, that's a descent. When you feel in contrary that you're in addition to the Creator, that's an ascent. And always the time you feel you are away from the Creator are more than you really feel that you are in addition with the Creator. That's why these ascents are less common.
I think a descent is, I think of it as like falling back into your ego, and then the ascent is rising above it, and sort of clinging to the glory of God and faith above reason, and that's what lets you see that distance.
I just want to sharpen the question a little bit. Relative to what can we measure a descent and ascent? Really, relative to what? Go ahead. What do you guys think? What can really classify as something as a descent or an ascent relative to what? This is really the question.
I'm wondering if we can relate it to kind of how we started the lesson today. The more we see merits in friends, the more we're on the right path, and then the more faults we see in someone else.
Also, like Tim was saying, is we are sending as a 10, we are sending all together to God. And we can descend also at the same time, but ascending will be the more positive way to getting closer to the Creator as a 10.
Without the sense, you don't have that struggle for a while in the descent to feel helpless enough to have the right prayer. You have to have a deficiency, what the prayer to the right place again, and that ascent again.
The measurement could be, on most of the times, it's a good feeling and a bad feeling between the two. So one has to make a distinction that if I'm feeling bad or disconnected, it's a descent, or if I'm feeling tired, or an ascent is when you're actually feeling completely connected and in a state of bestowal towards the others in the group.
I don't know.
I think it's the addition of the addition with the creator, the measure.
I don't know if this would sound right, but just listening to you, I think we can measure it relating to how we react to the descents. If we change our reaction to the descent, expecting an ascent and knowing that ascent is coming, it means that we are ascending, and we are starting to anticipate descents and anticipate ascents. So, I don't know.
An ascent feels to me like when you...
It depends on how long we stay in the descent, as opposed to acknowledging it, doing the discernments and scrutinies and rising above it rising above it. So I guess the short answer is how long we stay in the descent. I'm sorry, Adrian. Sorry.
It's okay. I was thinking that an ascent is almost like I'm not doing anything. I just go to the lesson, you do my preparation, and then I really can't explain it. It's like everything is okay, and I don't, just as long as I keep doing what I'm supposed to do, then everything kind of flows. And then all of a sudden, no matter what I'm trying to do, it doesn't seem like nothing's working.
So it's interesting that we have so many different discernments, and yet at the end of the day, we cannot put a simple definition on ascent and descent, right? It's simple words, ascent and descent, but yet every single person has a different attitude to this word. So can we put a simple definition on these words? What is it relative to? Now, in our everyday life, obviously we can say what is a descent, what is an ascent. In an everyday life, if I feel good, I'm in an ascent, right? If I'm enjoying myself, if I'm having this nice meal, with my friends, I'm going out, I do all sorts of fun things. This is a state of ascent. And if I'm sad, if I'm depressed, if all of these negative things in life are happening to me, we could say it's a state of descent. But the wisdom of Kabbalah, as we know, doesn't take the basic definitions of life, because we have a different goal, and everything is relative to that goal. So within the wisdom of Kabbalah, how can we measure the state of ascent and the state of descent? Some things I've heard that I did want to comment on as well is that it's the connection with the Creator, right? If we have the connection with the Creator, okay. This is a partial answer, because can we have a connection with the Creator if not through the connection with the 10? And what do you guys think? Can we have a connection with the Creator if not with the connection through the 10?
No.
No.
Is there anyone that thinks otherwise?
I think maybe, but I think after after you have a stronger base with the 10 and you understand that, I don't know, it's like, you really truly know inside and outside of the 10 that you have it. I don't know how long that would take if that can happen, but maybe. Can't say never.
Well, you are the 10, right?
It's a question. You're part of the 10.
Sometimes when we're not even in group together, but I am just reminded of the 10 and I feel connected sometimes in my 10 when we're not even having a group, and I feel a sense during the daytime, just checking my phone and checking in on the.
Okay. But the question is still there. Can we have a connection with the Creator without the 10? And I'm not talking about what Carol is saying. This is something already a little bit more advanced, that even though we're not physically connected with the 10, we still have a connection. That's very true, and this is good. This is the direction we should be going in. But if we don't have the 10 in front of my eyes physically or even internally, I'm not even thinking about them. It's just me and the Creator. Can there be such a thing? Just me and the Creator, no 10.
I think anybody that has the definitive answer for that would be a matter of personal experience that might not even need to be supposed to be shared. There are people that have had life and death experiences, and if you take that away from them, the connection that they have felt with the Creator that saved their life, I don't think it's a good area. I wouldn't go in there and negate anybody's experience.
I agree with Adam that the reason that I got into the Kabbalah is because through my life experience, I had connection with the Creator. And now that I have the 10th and I'm learning a lot of the commandments and everything, I feel that it's getting stronger through the light, through my 10th and the point of heart.
I think it's a great question. Coming out from a conference this weekend in Kazakhstan, where the Ravs spoke quite extensively about the prayer of the many. It's presently going under very big scrutiny that we cannot have a connection individually with the Creator. It has to come through the 10, it has to come through the group. And a lot of the stuff that we have been taught and exposed to with let's call it the old sciences and the scrutiny that we are under now with Kabbalah, it's giving us a very clear guideline and understanding that we need to really review our old way of thinking and apply this through the shatter, to bring the shatter together, which is the collective and the 10, in order for us to start feeling the Creator. So we cannot have a connection with the Creator directly. It has to be through the 10, through the experience and the connection that we have to the 10, and the Creator then inversely connects to us on an individual basis, but we cannot disconnect from the 10. L'chaim.
All right. So what can we conclude? Can we or can we not? Johnny gave this textbook Kabbalistic answer, which is nice. This is what Rav tells us, that there is no such thing as a connection to the Creator if not through the 10. In fact, if you're having some kind of dealing with the Creator, but the 10 is not as the medium point, as the connection point between you and the Creator, this is actually equivalent to, you could say, building idols, to bowing down to idols, to doing all sorts of foreign work. But in essence, there's really no such thing as a connection to the Creator, if not through the 10. Even more so, we can even explain some of the things that were brought up here, that Adam brought up and some other friends that have these types of experiences, some kind of special experience, or any of the experiences that we have in life. Even those experiences are also going through a certain 10. It's just that a person doesn't know who that 10 is. Meaning everyone has a 10. Everyone in the root of their soul is part of a certain structure, is part of a certain system. There's already a 10 that exists there. The end of correction already exists. The perfect state, when we're already interconnected, is already there. And we're even right now, even before we have access to that state of perfection, to that 10, we're still experiencing what we're experiencing now through that connection. And even the seemingly individual states we go through are also going through a 10. They're just going more on an unconscious level, let's say. But at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a connection to the Creator without a 10. And this is something that it takes time. It takes time for it to sink in, months, sometimes even years. But this is something that this is a very important point to go through. If there's any questions about this, maybe we could take a few minutes and talk about it right now.
I had an issue, and I read the Shamati 3, and it kind of helped me out a lot about how I got here. But once I got here, it says to do good to his creatures. So I guess my desire out there to find out who the Creator really was and what he wanted me to do or whatever kind of brought me here. But I also got here understanding that it's also a prayer that's going out, which is Rob is requesting all the people that have a point in the heart to come here. So that helped me out a lot on understanding how I end up getting here to Kabbalah without even, with all the stuff that happened for me to get here. But I wanted to understand it.
Okay. Any questions about specifically what we just talked about?
No, but I think that's really very interesting. Like that both that we can't connect without the 10, and yet I have felt the connection, the same sort of connection I feel when I'm in an ascent or feeling the root in the group in my life before I came to Kabbalah, and it also accompanied a feeling of being really connected to unseen, unseen wholeness that I was part of, even before I ever heard of Kabbalah. Different times when I was in deep need, that I would get the relief from this feeling. And it's one of the reasons why when I first started hearing of Kabbalah, I was like, oh yes, this is right, because it was something I had experienced or feeling before. And it's not just a feeling of like elation of like I have a personal God to. It's more like a feeling of being really connected and encompassing the whole.
Okay.
Albert?
Yes?
Baal Salam, who was the father of Rabash, did he do most of his writings and most of his revelations of which we have today? Did he do it through the 10 or his group of 10?
He also has a group, and he also has a 10. There's no such thing as a Kabbalist without a group, without a 10, without a connection. And the 10, it's not always 10, because we know the minimum is 2. I forgot the exact quote. The minority or the majority is 2. There's some kind of saying like that. But in essence, the minimum is 2. You need a connection between 2 people, and you can call that connection a 10. Of course, if it's just 2 people, that connection is extremely difficult, really difficult to work with. And if it's 10, it's much easier. But still, there always needs to be a connection with at least one other person. And that connection, through that connection, there can be some kind of a contact with the Creator. Including Baal Salam, including Rabash, and including Rav Lightman. Everybody has a 10. Everybody has some kind of connection with someone else that they're working through that connection towards the Creator.
Is this true? Because without the 10, without someone being in that position of the other, there would be no possible way to bestow to something other than, is that why that is so important? You need that outside thing to bestow to?
Yes, that's one of the reasons. There's a lot of reasons for having a 10. Let's say that's one of the reasons, yes. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. Okay, so I'm hoping we're all on the same page that without the 10, there is no creator. This really needs to be the glasses, that if I take off my glasses, I don't see anything, no creator, no nothing. But if I have this connection with the friends, these spiritual glasses, then I can begin to work. I can have some kind of relation to the creator. Without the 10, nothing. Okay? This needs to be written on our hearts, as Rav would say. But sometimes it takes time. It's okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, the 10 are kind of like a reflection of the 10 Sephirot.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. That's the spiritual structure upon which it's based. That the 10 Sephirot is the basic structure of reality. And in order to become similar to that structure, we have between us a 10, and we're working with that 10. Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean 10 physical individuals at all levels. It's at other levels it means something.
It's like I said, 2 is the minimum, but it's much more difficult. If we have 10, if we come closer to that structure, that let's say that ideal number, the closer we come to it, the better the connection is. Let's say the clearer the picture is, right? We can have how can we say it? Well, we can have just glasses and I don't even know how to make this analogy. But let's say the more that we have, the more friends that we're connecting with, ideally 10, then we can have a very clear picture. Otherwise, the glasses could be, let's say, murky, or maybe partially visible, or just not fully. So we get like a partial view of reality if it's not 10, and it's much more difficult to work with. The laws of connection in our Arvut are much more difficult between 2 as opposed to between 10. Okay, so let's continue a little bit back to what we wanted to cover today, specifically ascent and descent relative to what, right? This was the question that before we got into this whole mess, and we went into all these different directions. So relative to what? We said it's relative to the goal, right? The creator, but not the creator directly, meaning it needs to go through the 10. And specifically through the 10. So how can we measure an ascent and descent? Through the 10. We measure to what extent the 10 is important to us, to what extent that the goal is important to us, to what extent the friends are important, to what extent they're great in my eyes, to what extent I'm willing to strive towards this goal. So in essence, the measurement is always in this direction of an ascent or descent. It's relative to the importance. Really, this is the key word that we can use in this measurement. How important is the goal? How important are the means? The means meaning my 10. If these things fall in importance in my eyes, then I can say I'm in a descent. If these things are very high in importance in my eyes, I can say I'm in an ascent. And how is that relative to feeling good and feeling bad? Is there a connection between the two? Because like we said earlier, in a corporeal way, we define ascent and descent based on my feeling. I feel good, I'm in an ascent. I feel bad, I'm in a descent. But here it's something completely different. Because I could have the importance of the group, I can have the importance of the 10, the importance of the goal, and I could also feel not as great as I possibly could. And it could be the opposite. I could be feeling great in corporeality, but I don't have the importance of the goal. I forget about the goal, about the friends, about everything, but I'm feeling great. So that feeling of great, but not having the importance is actually a descent. And the feeling when I could be not feeling so great, but I'm remembering the friends, I'm remembering the goal, that is a state of an ascent. And here it's something tricky, because when we define these states, we always define it, at least naturally, we define it based on the feeling. But it needs to be that we redefine ascent and descent relative to importance. How important is the group? How important is the goal? And it's the opposite with the feeling. It's the feeling we don't even need to take into account. Meaning I could have right now just, I don't know, what's a very happy state? I could have right now just won the lottery, right? I'm in a huge elation. Wow, I'm feeling great, all this money and everything. And not a single thought goes towards the friends and towards the group. So what do we measure? How can we measure that? Is that an ascent or a descent in terms of spirituality? What do you guys think?
Descent.
Descent, right? Descent. So let's talk a little bit about these states. First of all, are we clear on the definition? Do we have a common definition? Ascent, importance. If I have the importance of the group and of the goal, I'm in an ascent. Descent, if I don't have the importance, if I don't feel like striving towards this goal, towards the group, towards thinking of the friends, I'd rather be doing 1,000,000+1 things, engaged in work and family and this and that, but no thoughts towards that direction, descent. Okay, are we clear on this? Let's maybe, if not, we could take 2 minutes and ask specifically on the definition, if there's questions on the definition of ascent and descent. Okay, so if there's no questions, then I'll ask a question. Question is, why are we given descents? What do we need them for? Why not just give us an ascent and then an even greater ascent, an even greater ascent? Why are we given these states of descents? What do we need them for? Okay, let's go into the breakouts and talk about this question.
Sorry, before we start, can I just ask, does anyone know where Mike is? Because he was with us and he's dropped off.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised I didn't notice that. What the heck happened? I cannot.
Yeah. I'll go fetch my phone and message him, see if he's fine.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right. Now my concern is for Mike.
You don't have to go anywhere. I could just do it on the WhatsApp.
Anyways, to try and bring it back to where we're supposed to go with this in the meantime, this reason why we have to have descent and not just ascents, if we only had ascents, the ascending state, we would be like the animals. In fact, Mike is the one who brought this to my attention in this article. He said, it says that you would be like an animal naturally doing it with no awareness of anything going on, plus or minus. And so therefore, you would not advance towards devekut. That was what it said. You would not be able to reach adhesion at that level of awareness. Next.
Yeah, isn't the group our sounding board anyway? Isn't that our means of seeing where we are in this methodology? That was what I was going to say in the last thing. There's several different methodologies. It gets a bit confusing when you know them all. So yeah, the group is our sounding board. That's how we know when we are ascending and descending, because the group's doing better as a group or the group's not doing better as a group. Next.
But it allows you to, it gives you an opportunity to apply faith above reason.
Leonardo?
I think other things that why we have descent is to remember us that when we are in descent, we need to remember that there is no else beside him. We need the descents make you consciousness that there is a God, there is a one that make all, and one that there's no beside him. Is to remember us that what we are here and what we are in the tent.
I just what Leonardo said, that without the descent, especially having been from an ascent, I think especially that kind of allows you to see the importance of it that much more, and it allows you to sort of like yearn for it, like sort of having it, then losing it, and then you get it again, and then you lose it, and it keeps you going, and it helps you. In the end, the descents actually help you see the light much more than the ascents, because it's the importance that it brings out.
Yeah, that contrast thing is really important so that we will recognize the difference and feel the difference. Again, expanding our Kli because we're going to have a bigger revelation of ego and evil each time, and more place for the light to fill. I guess it has to be gradual so that we just don't do it all at once and blast ourselves apart. So that might be why we have to keep doing it over and over again.
But also be the need for the opposite. So if you have something on this side, to have the opposite, you can appreciate this side that much more. You know, Johnny?
If we don't have a descent, there's just our nature is. We are complete 100% vessels of receiving, and we seek pleasure and we avoid pain at all costs. If we don't get a bit of a hiding yarrow there, we're just not going to learn, period. We need descents. Descents are absolutely critical in our development of spiritual ascension and penetration into the upper worlds. Without these descents, we are not going to achieve that. So whether we like it or not, we need to get clapped around and thrown around and feel pain and feel descents and feel all that stuff that is really not good to the beastly body and to the ego in order for us to grow and develop.
The Rav, I heard him say that these things are wonderful for this reason, because they allow us to scrutinize in a very narrow band that there is none else beside him, and he is good that does good. So this descent, so the importance of the group, that goes away, and the fact that if there's none else beside him, that took it away from you. All these things have to come into our conscious awareness for them to be corrected.
It's like dark and light. You wouldn't know the light without the dark. You wouldn't know the light without the dark. You wouldn't know the light without the dark. Or you wouldn't know the dark without the light. So repeat that one a lot, I guess.
Okay. Okay, welcome back. Next question, although before we jump into the next question, are we defining a sense in the sense properly? Right? We're not, remember, we're not defining a sense in the sense relative to the feeling of I feel good or I feel bad. We're defining it only relative to the goal and the means. Relative to the importance that I have towards the goal and towards the means, meaning towards the creator and towards the friends. Are these things important? This is an ascent. So given the state of a descent, when I get a state of descent in importance, how do I come out of it right away? What are the means at my disposal which I can implement in order to come out of a descent? Okay, if I have this descent of importance, what are the means at my disposal that I can come out of this quickest possible way? Let's do this in the general session so we can all incorporate from everyone's answers. I suggest to even take notes, so in case we're in such a state, we're able to implement something and come out of it quickly and rise back in importance towards the goal and towards the friends. So what are the means that we have to come out of this quickly?
We connect to the tens, Albert. It's so important that the minute we feel that we immediately run towards connection within the friends.
I heard this from another Kabbalist. As soon as I realize I'm in the descent, I begin to pray for the group, for the 10. And it's a signal to pray for the 10.
To add to that, I would like to say that as we in the 10 see someone descending below our status, where we think they're getting lower than us, our whole 10 is going into ascent, and I need to lower myself below them to annul myself and lift them up back into the ascent. It's only through me getting beneath them and supporting them that they can stop the descent.
When I'm feeling a corporeal ascent, I kind of automatically say to myself, everything that seems like a pleasure in the corporeal world doesn't last, and I guard against, allowing my ego to inflate over some small gain in my corporeal world.
Well, the means that we have is the 10, the group. And I think that when we feel that we are in a descent, we have to come and discuss it with a group. And they are the only ones that can lift us up, just like we are the only ones that we can lift them up. So it is a mutual sharing and mutual uplifting in the group.
It's to me, it's like a warning or alert. Watch out! We need to contact our point of heart and get our act together.
To overcome above reason.
I think maybe the books and the videos that are recorded at our disposal on the neighborhood web page.
And perhaps even just reviewing things like the Baticha and other just, especially like the beginning of the Baticha, and just remembering what even brought us here in the first place can, I think, also help bring forth a light to raise us up.
Okay. I wanted to share a little bit personally, actually, what are some of the things that I use in order to stay connected to this path, regardless of these ascents and descents. One of the most basic things is something called a framework, right? This is a framework, like a daily framework, you could say a schedule, right? But in Kabbalah, we use the word framework. And for me, it's really my commitment towards the group, specifically, let's say, how many times a week that I come into the lesson. And a lot of times we can have different states in life. We want to, don't want to, but I've made this commitment already. And a lot of times, regardless of how I feel, I just have to show up. And for me, this helps a lot, because once I show up, regardless of how I feel, when I put myself into that environment, it pulls me out of any type of descent that I could possibly imagine. Anything. And I've been on this path for many years, about 9 years in total. I've still not seen a single state in which hasn't changed by showing up to the lesson. So for me to show up to the lesson and be together with the friends in the lesson has taken me out of every single state thus far. Now there's also more internal means at our disposal. This is already the arvut between us, meaning the states that we're undergoing. Like I said earlier, it's not that a single person is undergoing these states. If we have a 10, the state of a single person is the state of the whole 10. So if a single person is experiencing some sort of descent, I heard here that we should talk about it. We should try to do something about it. We should. We as a 10, we have the structure of a 10 in order to do something about it, in order to pull a person out of this type of state. And it's up to the 10 to decide what is the right means to act on different people in different states. Sometimes just to have a workshop together. Sometimes to call a friend. Sometimes to I don't know, to reach out to him, to invite him to this, to that. These are all the means at our disposal. Of course, the most serious, the strongest means at our disposal is to think of the friends. If we know a friend is undergoing a certain situation and the entire 10 is thinking of him, not just of him individually, but picture the state of a body, and the body is sick. Really, a certain friend is displaying this sickness, and the whole body is concerned. And now that the whole body is concerned, they have something that they can use to turn to the Creator, because after all, there's none else besides him. The Creator gave this to the 10. So if something's happening to a certain friend in the 10, and we're all uniting around that, we're all worrying about it because we all feel that it's affecting everyone, that is our means to reach contact with the Creator. And this is the strongest possible means. So we have different means at our disposal. Like I said, what everyone was talking about as well, it's opening a book, to read, to do this. For me personally, like I said, it's the lesson framework that I have. But really the strongest means that we have between us is the arvut, is the connection between us. If we know how to properly work that connection, we can pull any friend out of any situation, even without words. If we know how to activate that system between us, we can pull anyone out of every single situation. Now, we have just a few minutes left. Let's do a little exercise. This is a fun little exercise. So let's do this exercise for the few minutes that we have left. Afterwards, there's a little survey that Zohar asked me to pass along to you guys. So let's do the exercise, and then together we'll fill out this really quick 2-minute survey, and we'll call it a day. So here's this exercise. You started the studies with a friend and connected together. You have similar attributes, and it is pleasant to be together. And during the last semester, you felt that you discovered who this person really is. Okay, so let's picture the state. We have friends on the path. At first, it was nice for us to be together, and then after a semester or two, we see this guy isn't really who I thought he was. That he doesn't really love you, this person, that you don't really love him. He's jealous of you. He has some kind of ugly character trait, right? You suspect he's saying things about you behind your back. You know, in short, you're not liking this person. And the exercise is, what should we do in such a situation? I understand that right now, I'm in a certain descent relative to the importance or greatness of this friend. Okay, I'm given this type of state. So what can be done in order to once again raise the importance and greatness of this friend? Okay, so let's go into the breakout sessions. I hope the exercise is clear. There's a friend with us. We used to be close with him. Now we feel there's something wrong with him. He's not important in my eyes for one reason or another. What can we do? Okay, this is the exercise. Let's try it out. Go into the breakouts really quick, though. Let's 20 seconds per person, and then we'll need to come back. Go ahead.
You know, this is just the recognition of evil and the an opportunity for us to elevate a friend, and we're seeing the complete opposite side, which is important for our growth.
Yeah, it's our perception. That's what they mean by the hatred and the evil inclination to think that way. It's all just in your head anyway, all of it. So you've got to redouble your efforts to raise that person up, because they have just as great worth as everybody else in the group, and you're to nullify yourself anyway. That's how you work, and that's how it's supposed to be.
That sort of thing can also, I think, very much be a blessing, and just making us aware of how we do need to, like James just said, double up, and it puts that greater of a need on us.
Which is why we have our tins connected so well. My tin has a WhatsApp and the Facebook chat and the page, and you name it, text message, and we Zoom all the time. So we can raise each other, text each other, call each other, whatever you can do. We got to stay connected and pull each other through those times, and just reach out to your friends when you're having this descent. They'll help you.
Yeah, I second what James and Lewis said. We need to double up our efforts. Initially, the question that we had was, those faults and those irritations are exactly what we need to undergo within ourselves. So we place a mirror between that friend that we actually can't stand And who's looking in the mirror?
This is the chance to, I think the only solution for this situation where this friend is despicable in your eyes is the time you have to go above reason and put yourself in the position that though I see it with my eyes, hear it with my ears, feel it with every fiber of my body, I will tell myself that that is incorrect, and I will say to myself the opposite is true, and I will tell myself this is all I will accept despite everything. This is a hard thing, but that is the opportunity for that, going above reason.
Daniel, can you add for us, please? You will mute.
Dano types in the chat, he just looks at himself harder, and then he scrutinizes himself more.
Thank you, Tim. This made me think of how you guys started this lesson. I mean, this is exactly how you started the lesson. So isn't it beautiful? It came full circle. Yeah, Tim, you want to keep going?
Yep, I mean, this whole lesson's come full circle now, so it's just raising the friends, and now I actually have a better definition of ascents and descents, and now I can use those with our group.
Lost my moment. Yeah, we have to really, really, really work hard, and everybody has done so well, and I have not really participated as much as I can now. So that's one thing I'm going to be working on, is connecting more to the group this week and the future weeks, now that I've passed a bunch of BS in my own personal sphere. So expect me. Next.
Leonardo?
As we say in the beginning of the lesson, it's only to remember that the lack is inside of me, not the other person. What I see in the lack of the other person is only a mirror that what is need to do with myself. It's a lack in me inside.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this exercise, because it's a very real exercise. There's a lot of these different types of states that we undergo, and we'll talk more about this. But Zor really wanted us to take this really brief survey. In essence, it's to help us to in our dissemination efforts to spread the wisdom of Kabbalah. So I'm going to post it right now into the chat. Let's just do it all together. I don't think it's going to take more than 30 seconds to 2 minutes for us to complete the survey. Let's open it up. We'll do this group action right now, and then we'll summarize what we went through in today's session. So, sorry, I posted the wrong place.
I've done that survey already. Do I have to do it again?
Yeah, you saw the survey? Okay.
I got it in an email.
Okay, if you already did it, then you don't need to do it again. But for everyone else, so just fill it out. It's a little anonymous survey. Your framework, age, gender, very basic stuff. Let me see. I'm gonna myself fill it out right now with you guys. Okay, so I think it's actually much longer than I thought it was. But let's all try to fill it out, because it's very important for dissemination. I'm gonna give another minute or two for you guys. And then we'll summarize, and you guys can finish up on your own as well. Just don't forget the surveys. Zohar was very, he really wanted everyone to fill this out. He really stressed it a lot. Okay. So while you guys are finishing up the surveys, let's summarize a little bit about what we went through today. So we opened up this beautiful article of "There's None Else Besides Him" from Shamati 1, which we've studied before, but today we saw, even though we covered like the first 3 paragraphs of it, but today we saw it completely differently. Why? Because now we have something to work with. We have the 10. We know that this thing called the Creator is not something that's found outside of this 10. As if the 10 is the spiritual glasses, is the vision. In the same way that in our world, without eyes, you don't really have a perception of this world. You have other senses, but really, without the 10, it's like not having eyes and living in this world. This is a very similar analogy. So we saw it completely differently. We saw everything that in this article completely differently through the lens of the group, through the lens of the 10. That even though there's none else besides him, it's not affecting me personally. It begins to affect me on the degree of the 10. And everything that we receive, the whole 10 receives. And all the responses begin to also be from that point of view. That we as a 10 need to start responding to what is happening to our 10. Even though an individual is receiving a certain manifestation, but we need to respond as a 10 because we are receiving that because of our 10. And specifically when we go through these different states of ascents, descents, remember these are ascents, descents in importance. These are the ways by which we climb up the ladder, and we begin to experience not just the states that I go through, but the states that everybody goes through, because we're incorporated in one another. And if a friend in the 10 is experiencing something, he's experiencing it not for himself, he's experiencing it for the sake of the whole 10. If a friend is undergoing a certain hardship, once again, not for himself, he's experiencing for the whole 10. And if the 10 is uniting around that, around a friend, around trying to help him out, then the 10 as a whole is elevating above this state. And this is something very special. Specifically, that is our spiritual progress, by helping one another to climb out of these states. And little by little, we begin to uncover much more deeper and deeper discernments in the work. But we'll continue our journey in the next session, and we'll talk more about some of these really deep inner discernments that we undergo. I think that's everything for today. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for filling out the survey. If you still haven't finished it, please finish it. It's very important.
Still working on it.
But please try to finish it, and we'll see you again next week.
Love you all.
Friends. Bye.
See you soon.
L'chaim.
Bye, friends.
Oh, look how your friends show you